What's up, guys? Back with another interview with my Total Gym stepbrother, Skyler King. If you guys don't know who he is, I did an interview with him a while back. I'll link it above here, also down below in the description box. But basically, Skyler was did a bunch of YouTube videos talking about Total Gym, also other home fitness related content. He's since kind of gotten on and off YouTube throughout the years. He's actually got another channel he's kind of bringing back where he's going to focus more on home fitness equipment. I will link that down below in the description box. Me and him talked for honestly over close to or just above 3 hours, so a very long time, not really good for a YouTube video, but I will edit that down and put it on my Primitive Home Fitness podcast. I'll also link that down below as well. I'll let you guys know when I get that posted, but the crux of the discussion was basically getting into, which kind of led into it, was me talking about how I went to a gym recently. I haven't been to the gym in over 3 years, and I was basically talking about how I was really unimpressed with how the equipment and machines really felt versus the stuff I actually had in my gym. So that led to kind of a longer discussion about what are those key pieces me and him find that we both particularly kind of like, and what are some pros and cons of different pieces of equipment as well. So then I just said, okay, let's narrow this down. What are our top 5? That was kind of the background context. And even though we tried to narrow it down, it kind of got into a long, lengthy discussion. So that's what you guys are going to see in this video. I will link some of the products and things we kind of discussed down below, as well as Skyler's channel. So definitely go ahead and check him out. We got some future videos planned and some other topics I think you guys are going to like. But definitely let me know your guys' thoughts. What are your kind of top 5 pieces or some pieces you guys can't live without, or just some general thoughts and opinions on what we discussed? What would be 5 things you would personally like to pick up, but also keeping the general person in mind? And then also just kind of going through with each 5 thing, just talking about why you picked that one thing. What that one thing is, it for whatever exercise you like about it or whatever. So let's just we'll do one for one. And I got this is in no particular order. You do one, I'll do one. We'll just go back and forth. It's be a fun video to isolate. So I'll have you pick number 1. Again, no particular order. Just what's popping in your head and why you like it.
Adjustable dumbbells. Adjustable dumbbells mean you can technically go heavy. You can keep it light. You can do compound movements. You can do isolation movements. You get that isometric work. They're compact. They don't take up space. They're easy to use. They're intuitive. There's just a million different uses. Adjustable dumbbells are absolutely good to go. I love adjustable dumbbells.
And what are your favorite exercises on that? And what would you say is the weight limit you would like to have? That's a stupid question because I guess you could have.
Yeah. My favorite movements would be standing overhead press specifically. I used to be a big advocate of just seated overhead press because you can go heavier. But as I've gotten older and a little wiser, hopefully, I've learned the benefits of doing a standing overhead press. So I do that all the time with my adjustable dumbbells. I love doing side lateral raises. That's actually the 2 big ones. Overhead press, standing overhead press, and side lateral raises, but I also use them for overhead tricep extensions. I prefer using the dumbbell rather than a cable. And I would say hammer curls. I'm a real big fan of doing heavy hammer curls. And as far as the weight, heavier the better. But I'm, for the most part, those power blocks with a 90-pound limit seem to be perfect for 95% of the stuff I do.
Nice. And I like what you're doing there, because that's what I was looking for. Just like 1 or 2, there might be a lot of exercises you do. What are like your kind of go-to exercise if you have in a gym? So I'll just go right with you on that one. So adjustable dumbbells for sure. I think my preference, now we talked about power blocks. If people are seeing the shorter video and the longer video, we got into it. It would be hard because we talked about the quality, but I think if I had to do it over again, I probably would like those adjustable dumbbells just because I gravitate towards them. Maybe because, again, my power blocks are broken. But I think what I find I do, and I know it's a lot more now, I like lighter dumbbells. Even though I like having heavier ones, I've been really enjoying just realizing if I just go light with stuff, I just enjoy that stuff better. So like bent over rear flies, same thing, overhead presses. But for some reason, dumbbells, I love just doing this kind of close grip press here. I can still do this, but I just like doing this.
Yeah.
And I would probably say hammer curls too with that. And maybe some RDLs I'd throw in there too. That would be kind of my go-tos on those.
For rehab stuff, if you did like a single leg dumbbell RDL is incredible for a lot of things, especially if you have imbalances or lower body or lower back issues. Single leg RDL with dumbbells is phenomenal.
Nice. And the last one I forgot is the snatch and single arm press. For some reason, that was always a favorite of mine too. Let's go number 2. What are you thinking?
Adjustable bench.
Nice.
The adjustable bench, if it's a good, solid, steady one, I can use an adjustable bench for Of course, any sort of pressing movement. I can do flat press. I can do incline press. I can do shoulder press. I can also, heavy or light. I can flip around and I can, with it in an inclined position, I can have my chest against it. I can use it for, rear delt flies where I'm focusing more on just the shoulders and not on my body, trying not to tip over. I can put a barbell below it. I can do heavy rows. There's a leg attachment for a lot of these benches, so you can do decline sit-ups. You can also, on the decline position, you can just grab the top and use it for like flitter kicks. Having an adjustable bench, just it's not a universal thing. There are limits to what you can do, but it offers so much, and it just solves so many problems that you're even thinking about it, that I would say I would have a very difficult time with a lot of the stuff I want to do in my gym if I didn't have a good, solid, sturdy, adjustable bench.
I like that you said that, because that'll be a takeaway for me, because I honestly don't use I mean, I use them for sure, but not in the sense how you described it. And maybe if you do, you can just send me some recommendations for the bench and anything else. We can link them down below, along with everything else. Well, Skyler will put everything down below. But yeah, definitely send me a good adjustable bench, because now I think you actually sold me on that about picking up a better quality one. Because it's funny, because you said, when we first started saying that, I'm like, well, I was going to come back and say, well, we said the dumbbells, you could have counted that as one, but I think a lot of the dumbbell stuff we said we didn't even count really needing a bench, that's true with me. My dumbbell stuff that I do, I don't really use the bench that much as far as like my go-to stuff.
There's only a few things I realistically use my bench for on a regular basis, but it's amazing how often I want to try something different or try something new or figure something out, and the bench ends up solving the problem. Even, for example, some people these days, they're getting old school movements are now becoming trendy because of social media. Like they have the Romanian split squat, and no, I'm sorry, the Bulgarian split squat.
Yeah,
I was thinking about
that.
Romanian deadlift. So you have Bulgarian split squat, and if people want to buy these dedicated things to put their foot on. But again, if you have a nice, solid, heavy, adjustable bench, you just put your foot up on that. And because the bench is adjustable, you can adjust it as high or as low as you want. The head of the bench is high or low as you want to get the height just right. As an accessory, my wife does. She does it as an accessory. She does front squat and just regular back squat. But I also have her from time to time do a heavy bench squat, to where she's touching her butt to the bench just above parallel, with a ultra wide stance, her knees pushed out. And this is really to focus more on her glutes. And also because of the heavier weight that she's doing, since it's a shorter movement pattern, not only is it strengthening her glutes, but it's also helping to build her upper back strength and kind of tighten up that shelf. And I don't have to have a plyo box or these adjustable, again, these dedicated things. We just adjust the head of the bench to be lower or higher to get it just right. So I can do them or she can do them. And it's always the right height that it needs to be at.
Yeah, those are great. That's awesome. I love that. Great exercise. I'll just go number 2 is an easy one. I'm sure you're going to throw this. I mean, you might not. I don't know. I'll throw in some sort of total gym Saudi bench trainer or something like that. And I think kind of obvious to go through the main things. But I'll say that my go-to stuff on these machines, especially as it's kind of evolved, if I were to pick 3 things, especially now that I don't use it as much as I used to, and if some workouts are different, would definitely be the pullover of some extent, face down, face up, or prone or supine. And then I would do, I've skipped the inverted presses a lot. It really is, I would think, pullovers and these lat kind of just like Y pullover type things I would do.
Like the iron cross.
Yeah, except we kind of like facing down. I do it prone though.
Okay.
Yeah, I do that. I feel like that hits my lats. A lot of just mostly lat stuff and pull-ups, and then probably the arms. And then definitely default chest, cross grip row like that. Those are my staples that I feel like those are them. I don't do anything else. I do a lot of other stuff once in a while, but those are like my staples on that thing. So I would say total gym for those key movements.
Yeah. The certain movements, like for example, anything involving the back, basically anything involving the back, and then anything involving the shoulders, whether it's rear delts, side delts, like doing side laterals, front delts, whatever it is. If it's the back or the shoulders, that's awesome on the total gym, or any sliding bench trainer is back and shoulder stuff, especially.
Nice. Now, are you counting that as one of your numbers?
No.
Oh, okay, nice. I love it. Okay, awesome.
No,
Dude, you're gonna find a lot of people right now in the top 5.
I know.
All right, that's good. What's your number 3?
Piggybacking off what you said.
No, that's good. That's good.
Yeah. number three would just be the traditional barbell and plate weight.
Yep.
Um,
Awesome.
it's not. I think again, people also get there's so much stuff on social media that people think that you're choosing something because it's trendy.
Right.
With me, there's also an aspect of like I love history and I'm just into strength culture in general. Like I've done so much research and reading on old time strong men and people from like the Greek era, that did incredible feats of strength and the evolution of gym equipment over the years. And I can look at a piece of gym equipment and I can tell you what era it was made in based on various things, right? So historically, I love the stuff. And if you look at the whole history of fitness and strength training and just strength culture, the innovation of a barbell, a loadable barbell, was probably the biggest thing in history ever. It was the number one game changer that had the biggest impact on people's physiques and what they were able to do, and also what gyms were kind of all about. So it's not just about squat or bench press. It's the fact that similar to dumbbells, you can do nearly anything, and you can load it as heavy or as light as you want. You can. It's just it seems like the OG universal gym. Just having a simple, good quality barbell and plate weights is something I have to have.
So what's your go-to exercises you use a barbell for?
Heavy bench press specifically. I think heavy bench press, it gets a bad rap, but if you're using proper form, I think it's a really good thing to do for various reasons. Of course, barbell squat, deadlift. I used to do a lot more barbell overhead press. I now prefer dumbbells for various reasons, but sometimes I'll implement it. That's the basic things. Is again, you can use it for dang near anything, but
Yeah.
the old school compound movements, squat, bench press, and deadlift are the three things I always do, like consistently every single week, every single workout. I'm always doing barbell squat, barbell bench press, and deadlift, no matter what.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, for sure that was going to be the mix too. So I'll just say, yeah, barbell and some sort of squat rack. I'm counting that as. I'm assuming you did the same thing, count as one. And I'll just follow up with my go-tos are definitely a bench press. I don't do these that often. When I am using this thing, I actually bought all new weights recently. I thought I'd be using it more than I did, but my go-tos would just be bench press. Squats probably the main thing I'm doing a lot more of again, and then deadlifts. So same with you. I can do overhead presses. I just generally would prefer dumbbells. That would probably be my number three though. Number four now. What we got? I'm curious. You got me cliffhanging now because you didn't put the total gym in there, so I got to know what are these top five.
Well, I got two more I can go. So
no, I know that's why I'm curious now. I have no idea what my other two are going to be, so I'm just waiting.
Yeah, I'm using when you start talking, I'm using it as an opportunity to start going through the category. What do I want? I'd say a cable machine. I'm currently in a position where I have a dedicated cable crossover machine.
Plate loaded or plate loaded or pin loaded?
This is actually one that I bought out of a gym, an old school gym. This is a American made Cybex cable crossover.
Oh, okay. Those are awesome.
Yeah. Old school, made in USA, pin selected. It's really good. I also just like the brand. Cybex. It's probably the best brand for fitness equipment I know of, especially their old school stuff. So seeing that,
I agree. Those always felt good. Those have like almost like a purple logo. Am I thinking? Or they're like, those always felt good. You're right. That is one of those machines that definitely just felt right. We should have talked about that for a while. You were getting into that in the long form review, but engineers design this stuff, and sometimes you're like, what the heck did you guys do to this? It looks nice, but it doesn't feel right.
If you look at the Cybex stuff from the 80s and 90s, it was usually white, and then it had black lettering and a red logo. And then as you got into the late 90s, early 2000s, it switched to like gray and purple logo, things like that. But they make great stuff. So I have a cable crossover machine, and I also have a dedicated lat tower that does lat pull down or rows. It's pin select. I made myself. I have a video of it. I have both, but I have to pick one machine as my top five. I would say either a cable crossover machine or a functional trainer, because they're kind of the same basic concept, right? Having just a cable machine, like let's say a functional trainer, I think would probably be in the top five, because again, I could do everything from heavier stuff, like I'm trying to max out on cable curls or extensions. I can also do light rehab stuff like nice rear rotators for rotator cuff health. I could technically, depending on how heavy it is, I could put a weight belt on and I could clip to the lower part and I could do uh like a cable squat.
Mhm.
I could do all sorts of stuff. I think having the cable machine option is one of those things that when I don't have a cable machine, it's the number one thing I want. And when I do have a cable machine, it's the number one thing that always gets used no matter what.
I'm trying not to say that one because even though that if I go to a gym, like I told you the story, I did go to the gym recently. That was the thing I was just hoarding the whole time, was just having fun
Yeah.
with the cable crossover. But I'm gonna save that because I might not do that one. But
Right.
I'll say number four for sure, just because literally this is if I would. It sounds cheesy, people don't like it, and if you've seen the channel recently, it sounds like I'm just a shill for it. But it could be the X3, it could be some sort of bar, resistance band, foot plate like that. I don't know what it is. I think it's just some of those exercises, especially arms, bicep curls, overhead presses. As much as I didn't like it at first, that chest press, I just love that cable tension. And I said I've used bands before. I never liked
Mm.
bands anchored to stuff. I don't know what it is about using that foot plate, but it's if I had to say one bicep exercise in my whole life, that would probably be that band foot plate bar bicep curl. I don't know what it is
Mm.
about that band tension.
Interesting.
Yeah, it's weird. But
When it comes to machines like that, or when it comes to pieces of equipment like that, that's the number one thing I always wonder. Because until I've tried it myself, it's hard to tell if something would actually feel right or not. Like how progressive is the resistance? How steady is it? So like with that, I've seen some of your videos on that. I was specifically wondering, like, I wonder how that actually feels. Like if it actually feels good to use that real
well,
world.
on the first time I did video, the first one I did, like I didn't like it because I think I was so used to, and this is something we could have a conversation about like all these things for an hour, but like this, just speed and tempo, and like I never an anal about like this way of doing one thing because I think every exercise is unique in itself. Like in a total
Mm,
gym, there's not a lot of eccentric, so I'm doing stuff at a faster tempo. Or something like you gotta go slower. I'm like I go slower, but I get more out of it. I do more reps, more volume at a faster
mm,
speed. So when I grabbed those things for the first time, I wanted to kind of go fast maybe because what I was doing before. And so once I kind of slowed it down and just did what they were kind of saying, which isn't rock, it's nothing crazy. It's just saying with that band tension, going to whatever you can do at a slow, steady pace. And then when you can't do anymore, going to absolute failure. There's something about that tension and using a barbell because I've used these things like cables, like handles, and I've done it before. I'm like, it just doesn't feel as good when I have that fixed bar.
mm,
So I don't know. I could talk more about, but that's just that thing for biceps specifically. I like the chest press and overhead presses too. And bend over rows, I would like it. And even my calves feels good, but I notice that the more I use it, it tenses me up. Like I get like a sore neck the more I do
mm.
it. So that's just something I feel like using a lot of bands too much. That would be one downside, I think, of bands. If I did it like exclusively, I think I would need to do like a lot of stretching because I get kind of bound up, I feel like, the more I do it. But
Mm.
that would be the other thing I'd probably have to have. It's weird, but I'm also still thinking like relatively within my budget, what I would buy. I'm trying to, and you're not doing that either, but I'm trying to think of like it's lower, it's less expensive, it doesn't take a big footprint, and it's something I know I've been using consistently. That would be one of those things.
Okay.
So is this number five? No, this is the last one now for you. This is number
Yeah,
five. I'm
number
losing count.
five.
Okay. All right. This is a big one though.
Yeah. Uh, Number five, I'll be honest, I've already said adjustable dumbbells, adjustable bench.
Just bench really took one. I mean, that's a big one. Honestly, that was a big
Yeah.
wild card, but that's huge. So
Yeah. So if I had adjustable dumbbells, adjustable bench, a barbell and plates, the free weight stuff there, and a cable machine, I'm kind of set. Like I don't need a number five, right? I could
you
anything
you,
else is
you got to
extra,
do
I
that.
guess.
No, you got to do that to me. You got to give
Yeah.
me at least one. You got one free. So we'll say you
Right.
could go with four. But what if you had to do? I'm forcing you to pick a fifth one. But we'll say
Right.
you only need four.
Okay. So if the fifth
Unless
one is something I don't need, it's just something I get to splurge on.
yeah, we'll count that.
Um,
Probably the adductor machine because this will
I
be
was
the
gonna
short.
say, yeah, probably that abductor adductor, yeah, because it does not earn its keep. Like if I have a super tight space, I'm on a super tight budget, and I have to maximize the use of my space, I'm not gonna take up my entire space, my half my space with that machine, right? It doesn't earn its floor space in that sense. But if I already have the basics that I need, and now I just get to splurge and choose what I want based on I can have whatever I want, absolutely. Yeah, those machines, although they get a bad rap by some people, they're really, really good. I really enjoy having access to that machine. And when I go to a public gym, which doesn't happen often, that's the number one thing I always use. I always go over to the cable crossover and I hoard that. Like, it's amazing how often I stay there, which is why I knew I wanted one in my home gym. And also I always go over and find the abduction machine and stay on that for a while.
Okay. Now, is there any? I want to leave. Is there anything else you felt like was an honorable mention there? That you feel like you're pretty good with that? Because I got stuff I want to
Honorable
say is
mention.
number five, but I'm like, I'm kind of torn between one. But
I have two honorable mentions. The first one would be, again, like a leg curl machine. Typically, if I could find the combo where it's extension and curl, that's better. But the second down after the hip abduction machine would be the ability to really isolate my hamstrings in a good quality, predictable way. So that'd be the honorable mention there. And the next would be a sliding bench trainer, like a total gym. If I had limited space or limited budget or something else, and I needed to maximize what I could do, then just like I have done in real life and other points in my life, I would just buy a total gym because they're really very useful. But again, if I have a more decked out home gym, a bigger budget, more space, and I have all these other machines that I just mentioned, I don't need a total gym, but it'd be nice to have as an option because, again, some things in the total gym just feel great. Like, so many back movements and shoulder movements specifically, it's like it lights them up. It's like a different level in the total gym, how good it feels to do some back movements or some shoulder movements on the total gym. So that's definitely an honorable mention.
hmm. I'd probably start my honorable mention because I'm looking at it right now. The lever gym. The only reason
Mm,
I say that the functional trainer is like that would be for sure up there. I'm just thinking someone like me, it doesn't have Facebook. I don't have access to the Facebook marketplace area. That would be. I know I'm not
yeah,
going to be able to get one unless I'm paying tons of money. Um,
right.
but I'm looking at this thing. What I do like about this, it replicates all the machine stuff. I love machine stuff, so the hammer strength stuff. And I'm also
Mm,
thinking practically, really, I only really use like when I go to the gym. I was thinking the other day. That one time I told you I went to the gym recently. I was thinking when I use it,
mm,
like I really only am using the bottom and the top thing. I mean,
yeah.
I do like cable rotations. So if I only got two pulleys, this thing actually takes the basis of the seated rows and any kind of stuff that I wanted a bottom pulley and the top pulley for the press
Mm,
downs or lat pull downs. So I
yeah.
feel like this lever gym covers a lot of bases. If I needed like a low budget option, cheaper budget,
Yep.
it was a little still more versatile than a functional trainer for the money, but
Yeah.
functional trainer objectively be better than this.
Mm.
But I think my number five, and this is, I don't know when I'll get this out, but I'm dabbling in these like e gyms. And this is like a hard one to think about. But I'm like, if I
Oh
had the
yeah.
money, these e gyms now, and I really think I was going to have a whole discussion, but like we'll be going off in a tangent probably for 40 minutes. Maybe
Mm,
these e gyms I think are pretty crazy because you get the functional trainer benefit out of it, but it has this technology of like eccentric, concentric,
mm,
just these different variations that you can do. I
yeah.
don't care what the workouts and stuff, but that was something that made me think like this does all the things the functional trainer would do, but at a cheaper cost. Now the
Mm,
downside is, of course, I'm taking all things considered, the longevity of it. The
mm,
functional trainer is going to last longer. This thing, technology
yeah.
is going to fail, whatever. Uh, but if it was working properly and for the money, I would probably do with that versus also not to mention it's easier to roll around and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But that would be kind of a hard toss up. But I'm right there with you with the functional trainer for sure.
And there's another potential benefit because I've never used an eGym, so I don't know what they're actually doing in the firmware. But theoretically, because the technology is there, the eGym has the potential to offer something that you literally cannot replicate anywhere else. And that is to have something that's heavier at the base of the movement and lighter at the finish of the movement. And what I mean as an example is if I'm using, let's say, if I'm doing barbell bench press, right? If it's just regular free weight barbell bench press and I have 100 kilos on there, then at the top it's 100 kilos, at the bottom it's 100 kilos. Now, old school powerlifting, where I have my roots, sometimes we would do chained bench press where you put chains on the bar. And the idea is that as you go down to the bottom, the chains coil up on the floor. So it's lighter off the chest. But every inch that you go up, each link of the chain is coming off the floor. So it's getting progressively heavier until it's the heaviest at the top. So it's light at the bottom, heavy at the top. Banded bench is the same way. Whether it's bands going from the floor, so it's tightening up as you go up, or it's reverse bands that are hanging off the top of the rack. Either way, it's doing the same thing, which is where there's less weight at the bottom and there's more weight at the top. if you go through all the different potential options, all the different machines you can use, again, doesn't even matter what the movement is, whether it's squat or whatever else, it's all the same type of thing. There are so many different options to make it so that, the bottom of the movement is not as heavy and the top is heavier. And I can't think of any machine in which it gives you more weight at the bottom and less weight at the top. You can't set up bands to do that, anything.
Right. Yeah.
But if you have an e-gym and it's magnetic flywheel and it's using a little program or firmware to decide how heavy to make it and when, theoretically, you could make it so it's the heaviest at the bottom. And then after you've pushed as hard as you can off the bottom, as you're also burning out and going through your glucose stores and everything else, and your nerves are getting taxed, it could start to lighten up the weight so it's actually lighter at the top. Yeah. And it would be the only piece of equipment that actually provides that type of stimulus.
It's a different stimulus too. I mean, it's weird. It's like they say it's digital weight. I'm not sure what the heck how you describe that, but it's
marketing.
Yeah, right. That's digital weight. I like the way of saying digital weight. It sounds cool, but yeah. It definitely is different. But it's fluid. It's different than a cable machine. So I don't know. I guess it depends on the machine.
Yeah.
Nice. But I think that was a good wrap up. I like that. I'm going to cut it right there. I will post the full version at some point in the near future. Again, look forward to seeing Skyler on future videos. Check out his channel. I will see you guys on the next one.